Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing, the final morning briefing of 2024. I'm Derek Clark, of course, and I'm joined by Stevie Clifford. How's it going, Stevie?
Hello, mate. Are you all right? I am rougher than having to watch Rangers these days. So, not doing great. Those that have followed me on my own pod the last couple of days will know that I've had a sore throat and everything else. Well, I'm feeling it this morning, mate. So, delighted to be here, etc., but not sounding my best.
Yeah, if the sports science was in charge of you, Stevie, then I think they would be advising you to just stay in bed this morning. But you're soldiering on, which is great to see. So, we'll crack on and talk all things Rangers. Lots to talk about. Of course, the match tomorrow. A match on Thursday against Celtic on the horizon. It is press conference day today. We will hear from Philip Clement and whatever player Rangers put up for the press. The manager due to speak at 1:45 this afternoon. So we'll bring you all the fallout from that, I guess. Now, I know that you and Joshua were on for the post-match reaction video after the Fir Park debacle, if you like, Stevie. Heading into this game on Thursday, where are you at? I know that I think the vast majority, there are some out there that still believe in Clement and what he's trying to do. I think that is ebbing away, the trust and support from many, given the previous two results. But where are you at this moment in time with where Rangers are with regards to the manager and what you're witnessing on the pitch?
Well, what we're witnessing isn't good enough.
I
think we know that. And I've been unfortunate to be on both post-match after St Mirren and after Motherwell. And
yeah, lucky you.
It's been difficult to not properly vent how I really feel in terms of anger towards this setup and the players at this moment in time. But what do you say, Derek? Because we knew it was going to be difficult. We knew there was going to be context surrounding signings and settling in and everything else, but I don't think anyone can tell me that we're performing the way we should be. We're absolutely not. I think we're miles away from being good enough. Players aren't progressing the way I would have liked. They seem to be soft underbelly. They get a wee knock back and they don't respond. They play in patches of games. We're back to that stage now where we're giving up halves and playing for 20 minutes and then not capitalising, and more or less everything that all the fans are saying is true on the park. And, I don't mind people, and there's still people out there saying to me, you need to be patient and you need to believe in Clement and you need to do this. And he needs to give us something to believe in. And at this moment in time, it's very, very thin on the ground to see anywhere where I can grasp any sort of enthusiasm in not only what he's saying, but in what we're seeing on the park. It's safe to say, Derek, that my patience with Philip Clement is at an end. With the players, I'm pretty much there as well. So I don't think Thursday changes much. I think we are a different animal at home. I think that shows that. I think that, in Europe, we're prone to a performance, etc., etc. It is Thursday. Could we trick them somehow and say it's a European game and play the tune to Robin Proper, etc., and pretend that he's somewhere more exotic? You can only hope. But listen, it is what it is. They're flying. They're an extremely strong side. They're coming to play us, and most of the time you would fancy it no matter what. But I think you would be lying if you said you fancied this current setup, and with the injuries the way it is, and players playing through pain barriers and things like that, players holding hamstrings on the way off pitches and things, I think it seems to only be getting worse. So I think we're really up against it, Derek. And with regards to where we are now, no, it's not good enough. Not good enough in the slightest. No. And that does fall on the manager, and it does fall on his coaching staff, and it does fall on the players.
Yeah, I get your point. And there are some out there that still saying you have to stick with that. You have to be patient, but it's extremely tough given the season. I don't think know that many said at the start of the season it would be a transitional season, given that the turnover of personnel. I don't think anyone expected it to be this bad in the league, Stevie. It's all right saying it's a rebuilds and all this sort of stuff, but you cannot be 14 points behind Celtic, albeit Celtic have had a really good season consistently, good up to this point. But Rangers, you could, trips to Parkhead are always difficult. There's 3 points dropped. It's the games, as you touched on, it's the games away from home that have killed Rangers this season. You cannot be turning up to venues like the Smythe Stadium, Rugby Park, Fir Park there. They've dropped points away to Tynecastle, of course, on the opening day. Aberdeen is another one. They've just not been able to put together a robustness, a steeliness on these travels away from home. But in terms of a rebuild, I get that, but not 14 points behind, surely.
Derek, I think we've had 4 wins in 13 games.
Yeah.
Away from home. This season, our goals tally, I think, is 9-9. It's the lowest since 1978. I think we heard on Sky the other day. There's no, you can make excuses and you can pad it all you want and you can say and add the context for it, and you absolutely can. And at some point we have to just take responsibility and say it isn't good enough, and it isn't. And listen, I'm probably not the most patient of people when it comes to what I perceive to be Rangers standards. And you know as well as I do that I had my doubts on Philip Clement several months ago, but was prepared to realise that I am overreacting. Probably we'll need to wait and see where it pans out. But we're now at the end of the year and we're 14 points behind. He said that we played well and we have been playing well for a couple of months. That's just not true. It's in the reality, it was 3 weeks that we managed to paint together some decent performances. Yeah. And in the 2-month spell that he talked about, we went from 6 points behind to being 12 to now 14 and lost a cup final. Excuse me. So, no, I think at times some of the things he says don't make sense, especially surrounding the sports science, especially surrounding selections and how he picks his players. And I've ran out of excuses for him, Derek.
Yeah.
Look, come on. I've ran out of excuses for the players. By the way, he can only do so much. You send players out beyond the white line, and Robin Proper can't head a ball, more than 3 yards, and Jack Butland has decided to embark on his worst run of form in a Rangers jersey, and and we still can't get it together up front. Erratic, wayward decisions in the final third, but our decision making at the back is just as bad. There's not one area that is better than everywhere else. Sometimes somebody hits form and you're like, all right, that's sorted, and then the very next game that's all away as well. And I don't buy that it can't be better than it is with this current squad, and that's where I'm really at, Derek. So no, it's not good enough. I think Philip Clement is fighting for his job. I think that if we're not questioning at this moment in time, we're home to Celtic and away at Hibs in the next couple of days, and by the end of the week we'll know exactly where Philip Clement is, because if it's not getting asked now, it certainly will by the end of the week, because current performances say going into them two that Rangers aren't likely to pick up many points, and that's quite damning.
Yeah. A few comments coming in. Ian Edwards says it's a dead rubber on Thursday, so the players have no pressure and therefore will probably turn up. And nice comment from Derek as well. He says, good morning. Thank you for your shows in 2024. It's been a great source to relate to, the fewest highs and many, many lows. Yeah, absolutely, Derek. We'll discuss what we think could be the team on Thursday a little later on, Stevie. A bit of other bits and pieces of news. Of course, the transfer window is just around the corner, and Rangers have to do business in there. We know they're looking to bring in a centre-half at the very least, given the state of play in the back line. Could be some departures. Report over in Turkey suggests that Trabzonspor have been in touch with regards to Ridvan Yilmaz's availability. Contact said to have been established there, said to be keen on reuniting Ridvan with his former Besiktas coach, Senol Gunes, who is at Trabzonspor just now. Ironically, Borna Barisic is having a bit of a nightmare spell over at Trabzonspor, so they could be looking to bring him in as a replacement, as we thought Rangers were doing when they brought in Ridvan a few seasons ago. John Lundstrom, of course, over there as well. Is it time for Rangers to move Ridvan on, Stevie, do you reckon?
Well, considering that he's got the backbone of a rich tea biscuit and is never, ever available consecutively, of course it's time to move him on. He's just never fit, Derek. And, you know, guys, I've spoken about it for a very long time, that you need to get value for money out of the squad and people there that are picking up a hefty chunk of wages. He's one of them, and he's not consistently available. And when he is available, we never see the quality for long enough because he inevitably breaks down. So if the money was right, if the money was good, and I'm not for giving it away, you know, the way we did to players in the summer, the money's got to be right, then yeah, he can go. He can absolutely go. So can Yanis Hadji if there's interest from Genoa, if it's real. Absolutely.
You'd let Yanis Hadji go, would you?
Yeah, I would have sold him in the summer. Everybody knows my feelings on Yanis Hadji as well. Cyril Dessers. I would have sold Tom Lawrence. I would have sold Kieran Dowell. I would have sold. There's very little players in there, Derek, that I think that we can't trade in and do better with. So, no, I'm sorry. I don't think anyone's got any credit in the bank where they can possibly turn around and say, well, hold on, Stevie, you're being a wee bit too harsh. I'm sorry. It's not for me that these guys are as much, you know, contributing to where we are now as anybody else in the management dugout. So no, I don't have any qualms about letting these players go, Derek. I've spoken about it a long time. I told you in the summer that Rabbi Matondo, and I got a hell of a lot of criticism for it. I said it would take $500,000 to clear him off the books and get his wages off the books because he's sitting getting 30 odd grand to be available on average. I think I read 12 times a season, and he's just not interested. It's just not value for money. And we are so small and thin on the ground in the squad that I would much rather, you know, we spent that money more wisely. So, no, I'm sorry. I don't think it's unfair to say that these players can go, Derek, and it wouldn't trouble me in the slightest to see Rangers, you know, do a wee bit of wheeling and dealing and try and get these guys in and try and get better fits for the squad into the club.
You expect a lot of business touched on there. I know they're looking to bring in a centre-half. John Souttar's probably going to be out for another number of weeks. Whether we see him, probably you're looking at the tail end of January. Hopefully, all being well with regards to that. Leon Balogun's out at the moment. We should get a clearer picture on him, whether he'll be available for Thursday. Do you expect a lot of business? I guess it depends, like you say, Steve, on players moving out. If they can get a buyer for Cyril Dessers, then great. You mentioned there Tom Lawrence too. If they can get shot of him at some point, then that's going to be good as well. I feel Kieran Dell is another one that falls under that bracket. I've seen mumblings that not too sure how legitimate it is that Robbie Fraser may have a bit of attention in him as well. You're shaking your head, yeah, but may not be the case. But if Ridvan is to go, then are you looking to bring in another left back in that area as well?
I think the thing is that I mean, this is where it's so difficult. You know, where's your priority? Need a centre half. You know, they need a goal scoring threat. You know, you need somebody from the left wing. You probably need another striker. You know, Derek, there's 6 players there before you would even, you know, a couple of centre halves, 10 winger, striker. You know what I mean? Do you need somebody else for right hand side? You know, could you get somebody else in the 6? There's so many positions before I would actually say go and get somebody on the left. Would I be happy with Jeffy at left back, Jeffy at left back, and playing Robbie Fraser as a backup behind them? I don't think it would be much different than playing Ridvan Yilmaz.
Yep.
So I'm not sure the dubiety of Robbie Fraser's linked interest to Portsmouth. I'm genuinely not sure that's true at all. But we'll find out in the you know, I'm sure it'll be asked at the press conference today or whatever. But No, I just think, and I've said this for a long time, Derek, you know that this isn't suddenly a change in tact or Stevie suddenly because we're not performing and find ourselves in this position is ready to bin everybody. I was ready to bin everybody in the summer before the season had even started. And if people look back on it, they'll see my comments on the same players that are taking wages out of the club and not offering nearly enough. You know, I look at some of them, Derek, and I look at their performances, and I truly think they've perhaps been told that their time is up at the club, because I look at Cyril Dessers nowadays, and he is not trying a leg. Like, I showed more mobility getting up my loft stairs this morning feeling like this than I did watching Cyril at Fir Park the other day, that's for sure. And, you know, I'm not blaming him. He's one of many, but there is players out there who I think are going through the motions. And it's a sad indictment, Derek, when we're having to take a bit of a half-time rollicking to get going in any games, let alone away to St Mirren, away to Motherwell and stuff like that. So would I be bothered if any of this squad left? No, not in the slightest. And by the way, need to start getting value for money out of Robin Proper, Nadeem Berami, and these guys that we spent money on pretty quickly, because at the moment we're relying on Czerny doing something, and it always doesn't come off for him. He's a bit erratic and things like that, but at least he keeps going, at least he tries. You know, you're relying on Danilo finishing at the other side, and he's I think he is good. I think he plays between the sticks. I think he is the better of options for us as a striker. And then you've got the Rose and amongst the Thorns and Hamza Igaman, who is currently, you know, capable of that raw bit of magic and things like that. And that just shows, I mean, why take him out of the team and disrupt the whole influence the other night? And it baffles me at times at the things and decisions we've made. Yeah, he's played more games than he did in Morocco last year because he was just starting out. Boy's fit, you know, and I don't see the issue there. So, yeah, some of it doesn't really make sense for me, but there's not a lot there, Derek, that I would keep and try and mould around, that's for sure. But going back to the original point, if there's interest in Ridvan Yilmaz for anywhere, then shake his hand and off you go.
Yeah, never a transfer window goes by without Ridvan being linked with the move back to his homeland. Hasn't materialised yet, but I wonder if this will be the window where he does move on. I'd be quite content with that, Stevie, that Ajefti with Robbie Fraser as backup. I wouldn't have any issues with that, but certainly there are several areas in that team that need work. Don't think anyone would disagree with that. This is an interesting point from Derek, just on the sort of personnel that Rangers need to look to recruit as Stevie tries to stay alive in his loft here. He says, we need animals with the inner desire to push for everything and fight for survival. Touched on this on the Q&A show I did yesterday on the Extra channel, Stevie. Don't think there's enough leaders in that Rangers squad, enough winners, enough, if you like, bullies and animals, as Derek says there. The Rangers need more of that with regards to personnel. I think they certainly need more physicality in that team.
I think, you know, there's an argument going back to this time last year again, Derek, when you would have listened to us on this very show talking about the need to bring in Scottish players that understood the environment and they understood, you know, what it was. And Rangers have had a tendency to, you know, I talk about this a lot, and people, you know, we don't have money, and Philippe Clement, we don't have money and stuff like that. Philippe Clement's, you know, allocated nearly £9 million to the signing of Diamandi and Cortez. We've got money. We're just not spending it wisely in the slightest. And that's our major issue. And I'm not suddenly saying that, you know, there's players in Scotland that are magically better. But, you know, the first thing that Walter and Eck and things used to do is make sure that we had that identity in the dressing room and around the first team. Picking up even guys like Nacho Novo and Stephen Thompson and things like that who understood how to play in leagues, who weren't the best players in the world. But had the grit and the determination and desire and understood what it was like to win games. And I think we lack that. And in terms of having animals as such, I think we lack desire. Absolutely. I think that's a fair point. I think you have to get the balance right when you use that word. You don't want hatchet men in your team that aren't there, you know, that they're the majority of the time, but you do miss a steeliness. I think the only one that's shown up consistently in the last 6 to 8 weeks has been Nico Raskin, because he has that level of determination and things like that, but he's doing the job on his own. So yeah, I mean, there's an argument for that. I'd be careful about using that word, because again, you don't want to be perceived to be, as you know,
I know what you mean. Not hatchet
Stevie
men, but guys that roll up
want,
sleeves and
you
win
want
the
guys
battle.
with heart
Stevie,
and
win the
desire.
battle first. Yeah.
Yeah, you want guys with heart and desire. I think that's clear that we don't have enough of them. I think that's certainly clear. I don't think we have enough people, either on the pitch or in the management dugout as well, that understands the landscape of Scottish football, because every single Scottish team we play, your St Mirrens, your Motherwells, are well set up, designed to battle, very well organised. Big guys in there who are prepared to do the dark arts. You know, Yanis Hadji getting blocked off the ball, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. The other night in Paisley was happening every 2 seconds, and he wasn't able to get going. He was getting frustrated and things like that. And these are the dark things that we don't have the capability of doing. We're not nasty enough. We don't play the game the way it's played in Scotland, and that's no disrespect to St Mirren or Motherwell. They're capable of playing, as you've seen, Robinson at St Mirren and Kettlewell at Motherwell played perfectly against Rangers. They knew fine well that a ball over the top would trouble the defence, and, you know, goals came from both of those moments and things like that. So it's certainly not a criticism of those teams, but it's not a surprise to us, and it certainly shouldn't be a surprise to Philip Clement. It's not like he's been here 6 weeks, Derek. He's been here over a year, and as I said the other night as well, you know, what's Alex Ray and co doing in that dugout? Because he's been here a long time. He's managed various places in Scotland. So what's his input? What's he doing at this football club? So I think these are questions that the supporters are asking, and they're all fair.
Yeah. Nice comment from Brian. He says, Stevie needs a few hot toddies and a big hug. I'd give you a hug if I was there, Stevie, but a few hot toddies. I'm a big fan of those. Are you a fan of those in the Clifford household?
No, I mean, I don't drink, remember, so isn't a hot toddy got
you can
alcohol?
Put whiskey in it. I don't think you can have them without the old... I'm sure it's whiskey that you put in a hot toddy, but let us know in the comments, folks. The different variations, I'm sure, of a hot toddy, but... yeah, that is his suggestion there. Team-wise, then, like you say, Stevie, we'll get a clearer picture when Clement speaks to the assembled media at the Rangers Training Centre a little later on. Like many on, when was the game now? Sunday, was flabbergasted to see that starting 11, and again, he's making subs at half-time. To have to get the team bang on Thursday, no messing about with it. I get you would take advice from sports science. At the end of the day, he has to make a call on the team. He cannot afford not to play his best players. Now, one of the players who I think his position should be in jeopardy, Stephen, you touched on it a little earlier on. I spoke to Chris about this on the show yesterday. Is it the goalkeeping position? Are you sticking with Jack at this moment in time, despite his sort of poor run of form that he's on at the moment?
Well, he made a rod for his own back in the summer, didn't he, by saying that Jack was irreplaceable and would play every week no matter what. So Jack Butland's going to play. Is he in his best form? No, I don't think so. A bit of a howler in Paisley when he rushed out for the penalty, which I don't understand, because, again, the exact same ball in the cup final, it's Kyogo this time at that angle, hits it and he stays, gets his angles really well and catches the ball. And I don't understand the decision making the other night. A total rush of blood to the head. I don't think, and people have highlighted the first goal at Motherwell as being his issue. I don't think it is. That's a defensive issue for me. He's then caught, because what does he do? Stay on his line, come out, try and narrow the angle, come all the way. I just don't know the correct answer to that. And he's came to try and narrow the angle and he's got beaten down low, and it's just, I think it's unfortunate. Second goal is really horrendous defending, statuesque, as the boy turns, our players inside out and curls it in the corner. Where's he at fault there? The third one, where it kind of loops on the bar, should he maybe have nudged it over and not worried about it? I think he should have. And then the subsequent one from the corner, I don't really take anything what the KMI panel has got to say. That's made up of ex-professionals, etc., who played the game, and they're not basing it on the laws. Which was it? Tony Watt had his left arm across Jack's face and across his body. It's extremely soft. like as in weak, but goalkeepers are protected because they are allowed to jump and you can't touch them. Is it a foul? It's a foul, Derek. So I'm not really bothered that a couple of ex-professionals don't want it to be a foul because it's in their opinion, it's a fair goal, etc., etc. It's a foul. So, yeah, could he have done better there? Absolutely. Is his confidence probably a wee bit rocking by what he's seen in front of him? Therefore, he's a wee bit more, indecisive and maybe not as relaxed as he should be. I think that's all fair, but I'm not for changing him. I'm sorry. Yeah, he stays
I don't think you will, just for the reason you said at the outset there, Stevie, that they'd say he's sort of indispensable, that the manager, but I think on form, he shouldn't be surprised if he was starting on the bench on Thursday in that game. Interestingly, on team selection, Andy Halliday, of course, who played for Motherwell the other day there, just said he was speaking about how the Clermont's starting 11 gave him and his Motherwell teammates a bit of a boost. He says, I'd be lying if I didn't say that from seeing the starting 11 before the game and seeing no Czerny and no Iggeman, that it didn't give us a little bit of a boost. At the end of the day, that was their best two players left out, along with Nicholas Raskin against St Mirren over the last few weeks. Raskin was another one who fell short with the sports scientist rules, or maybe the old debate that if he got a booking, you would miss the old firm. He continued, I just don't think Rangers are in a position to make these changes, because last week we were talking about potentially beating Celtic on January the 2nd, going 6 points behind and potentially getting the title race back on. But the big part of that was beating St Mirren and ourselves yesterday, and they're now in a position where they could be 17 points behind Celtic. So that is what Andy Halliday had to say on Clyde, I think it was last night. On the back line, Stevie, guess it's a lot's dependent on whether Leon Balogun is fit enough to feature at any point in the game. If he's not, then it's a sterling proper partnership, isn't it, at centre-back with Tavernier and Jeffrey at left-back. I've seen some suggestions yesterday that he should be drafting in Leon King. We would have seen Leon King before now. I just don't think the manager rates him. He's been an unused sub at various points, but I would be amazed if he was to be brought in to start this game.
James Tavernier hobbled off the other night holding his hamstring, Derek. So, there's a lot of questions about whether he'd make it, and does then Leon King have to come back in at right back and things like that. So, listen, I'll find out. I don't think the manager will tell you anyway, but this afternoon, I'm slightly concerned about Tav. Excuse me, regardless of whether or not you think he's playing well or he should be in the team. Again, people have listened to me moan enough about James Tavernier and about the right back situation. They know where I am on that, but can we afford any more injuries? We can't. If Tav wasn't to make it and we have an issue there, and Leon King does play, there's no backup to Leon King either. So, at what point are you drifting in Clinton and Ciala and things like that? And so it's difficult. It's a really difficult one. I think the back four sadly picks itself. There's a softness to that, as we've seen. I think Dujon Sterling's a good, tidy player. I'm not sure he's aggressive enough to be a centre-half or dominant enough. Robin Proper is Bert Conterman 20 years later, for me, in style and calmness and the way he plays, and prone to an error in position and on the ball.
Yes, suited to the Eredivisie, not suited to...
He's certainly not suited to Scottish football yet, that's for sure. And then your midfield, Raskin Diamandi picks itself. Czerny plays on the right, and to be honest, Derek, I quite frankly don't care if the sports scientists tell me he's in the red zone or whatever else. He came on and played for 57 minutes the other night. I think they said that was okay. Of course they didn't. So they're there for advisement. So no, he plays. Number 10 up for grabs. Number 11, probably Hamza. Play him on the left. And Danilo starts up front. So I'm not quite sure what you do with number 10, because Connor Barron, has been miles off it. So could you put Diamandi forward? Could you? I don't know. Diamandi's done all right in midfield. Could you go to 3 to try and stifle that? But then you're not getting much in the middle. There's a whole lot of question marks surrounding there. I don't think that Nadim Bayrami has been anywhere close to being on form. and it's really difficult to put him in.
He did a job in the final, didn't he?
On Callum McGregor.
Yeah.
He did do a job on him, and he did, close down his space and everything else. So that might come into thinking. I would understand that. But you need more from him. You need more output. We're at home. We're not playing on the break. So there's a lot of question marks there. Is Giannis fit? If he had the cold and he had a fever, then is he going to be fit a couple of days later? I'm not sure. So Derek, whatever way it is, it's a patchwork side, and it's still 7 or 8 players away from being where we really need and want it to be. How long is that going to take? So no, I don't think there's a magic wand for Thursday in terms of selection or who can come in. That's for sure.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what team Philip Clement picks for this game. As I touched on, we should get a clearer picture of who is in and who is out a little bit later on. But we'll wrap up there. It's the final show, of course, of the calendar year. So a big thank you to you all. We surpassed the 20 million views mark on YouTube a little earlier on. So a big thank you to you all for that, as Ian Edwards says. Congratulations on the 20 million views, guys. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for tuning in to the shows every weekday morning, and of course all the other additional shows as well. It is greatly appreciated. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit the subscribe button, folks, and hit the notification bell. You never miss a video when we go live. Later on today, of course, we'll have the press conference videos on the channel, and I'll be back with Joshua later on for a press conference reaction. That'll be available on the extra channel, so you can join us for that. But I wish you all a very happy Hogmanay, whatever you are doing tonight. Don't get blown away. I know that the Edinburgh celebrations were cancelled due to adverse weather. So you doing anything tonight, Stevie? Will you be staying up for the Bills or hitting the hay early on?
Yeah, I'll probably be in bed about 3 or 4 this afternoon. Not going anywhere near the press conference either. So, which I wouldn't, even if I was attending, I wouldn't have done anyway, not feeling like this. So it's for the best to stay away. But there's nothing any more that can be said that at this point. So can I just wish all the viewers, everybody that contacts, everybody that does the comments, everybody that contacts me personal, etc., just thank them for all their nice comments, the continuous support of the channel, and wish everybody a happy new year when it comes. And I hope they all have a great time and family time, etc., etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly echo that. Right, that'll do us there, folks. Have a good one, and we'll speak to you a little later on. If we don't, then no show. Well, there is a show tomorrow. Actually, I forgot about that. There will be a bit of an Old Firm preview. Will be on tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And then, of course, we'll have all the usual content for you from Ibrox on Thursday the 2nd. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye for now.